Do not accept the counteroffer once you've put in your resignation at work if your job tries to keep you with more money. The reason for this is that, first of all, if you went to market and were looking for something else, you've already got one foot out the door. Now, first of all, you've given your word to a new employer that you've accepted a job, the salary, the benefits, the responsibility, and given them a start date, so they're counting on you. The second thing is that if you were feeling at all like you weren't getting what you needed from your current role and you went out to market, chances are it's not just the money that caused you to look. So let's talk about some typical things that happen with people for reasons that they might need to go out and look for another job. So it's usually going to be one of two things. It's either going to be that you brought up that the comp wasn't right and they didn't take you seriously or they didn't move on it, or two, you're unhappy with your current manager or your mobility in the company. Those are the primary two reasons that people leave jobs. So let's break down how a company could really counter this. So if you went to your employer and said, hey guys, I don't think my comp is at market. I've done some research. Here's some figures that say, I should be making 10 or 20 grand more than I'm making. I'd like a salary review to see if we can get an adjustment. And they push to say, we'll look at it at this time of the year. You have to decide if you're willing to wait for your annual salary review, which statistically is about 3% for a company to give you a normal raise, or if you're going to go out to market. So the second reason is that if you can't get along with your current manager and you've made every attempt to do so, then it's not really going to get fixed with more money. If you're in a bad environment, just like if you're in a bad relationship of any kind in your life, making more in general is not really going to fix it, especially the little bit that they're going to give you. So the next problem with taking the counter is that the trust is broken, meaning that the employer feels now that you're disloyal because you've went to market and you're talking to another company. You've probably taken some time off to be able to do interviews and had to sneak around a little bit to apply, to do interviews, to do it all. And they feel like you're already headed out. So statistically, even if you do stay, chances are that things are not going to work out well with you and the employer. So there's not really a valid reason that you would stay with the current company that you're with if you even had to go to market, because your company actually cared about you and listened to you when you brought up some real evidence that you were underpaid or that things weren't working out with your manager. It's not going to get suddenly fixed with a couple of promises and them, just kind of trying to say that they'll work with you on the manager or try to move you under somebody else. In general, the trust is broken here. Now, is there any caveat to this? Is there any time that you should stay with the current employer if they give you a counter offer? Well, a couple of them, but they depend on you. Meaning, if you didn't do your job up front. Well, what do you mean, what's your job? You just go to work, you show up, you do your job, and you get paid, right? No. If you're at the point where you're going to go look at other companies, you have the responsibility, first of all, if everything's okay with your job, but you just want more comp, you have the responsibility to make a serious meeting on the calendar with your manager where you go in with figures and show them some industry research that shows that in the current market, you should be making X. And if you do that and they're dismissive of you, and now what dismissive means is going to be on you, meaning are you willing to wait for your annual salary review for them to make an adjustment? Because maybe the current budget, they budgeted your role at X, and it's going to be very hard for them to sell to the higher ups to give you a mid-year adjustment, even if you're low. So you have to decide if you're willing to wait for that. If you haven't done this step where you went and gave your employer an honest chance to be able to look at your salary, you are just shooting yourself in the foot. You're getting in your own way. The next thing is that if you haven't tried to make things work with your manager, where you've actually scheduled a sit down, you go with them and you go, listen, I feel that I'm really making every effort to do my job as good as possible, but I don't feel like me and you are getting along, and I feel like we're having communication issues. These are the issues that I would like us to fix, and this is how I'd like us to go forward. If you haven't taken the opportunity to sit down and do that with your current manager, you can't really be upset that there hasn't been an adjustment. Just going along with the behavior and not sitting down and trying to fix it is not an adult way to handle fixing a relationship that is damaged. And so we're adults, right? We're supposed to sit down and have those conversations when a relationship is not working. So when the counter offer comes, there's very little chance that you're really going to want to stay. And I would guess from probably 20 to 25 years of HR and hiring manager experience that I've had, that it really hasn't gone well for people over many years to be able to stay somewhere where they've gone out to market and then decided to take the counter and stick around. If you've seen this work, or if this has worked for you, if you've got a counter and you said, you know what, it worked great after that and we were able to work things out, please share it with us. Tell us that story. But just in my experience in the past, I haven't seen it work out very well. The trust is usually broken at that point. Let me know your thoughts.